just fast, looking backwards, maybe not a year or two ago, a battery was considered waste or a liability after usage. More and more OEMs now, they understand this is an asset.
Hello and welcome everyone to this brand new episode of the Auto Tech Show, our podcast that looks at the challenges, innovations, and solutions throughout the automotive industry. My name is Marc Babin, your host, and it's great to have you all with me today for this exciting episode. As you can see, we are back at the IAA Transportation Show in Hanover, Germany with another live recording, so please excuse some of the background noise. On this episode, I'm very excited to be diving back into the topic of big data and how its use with analytics can help to create industry circularity. Now for this topic, I'm very happy to welcome Marius Vogt, the head of sales at Circunomics. For those unaware of who and what Circunomics is and does, they seek to extend the useful life of lithium-ion batteries beyond their initial application in electric vehicles and stationary energy storage systems. By providing the leading intelligent and analytics-based battery marketplace, Circunomics serves as a catalyst for reducing waste, preserving resources, and creating value. Marius, I know it's a big topic and it's a lot. Doing research for this episode, it was like discovering a whole other part of the world that I didn't know existed. So it was really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to your insights. But first and foremost, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mark. It was well summarized, so if you're ever searching another career path, please reach out to me. No, jokes aside, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I'm looking forward to hopefully educate a little bit the audience.
Absolutely. Before we jump into the topic, how are you finding the show this year? How are your expectations coming here and then seeing the massiveness that is the show?
No, actually, it is always amazing to see how big it actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, we are at the IAA Transportation and Mobility, so they are all every other year, right? While one is in Munich and one is here in Hanover. And it's just impressive what are like all the trucks. And I mean, it was so interesting. I don't know if you saw it in our hall. They have this Tesla booth and the Tesla semi-truck and people standing in a queue.
To just see it,
to just get into it. It's like, not saying that it's good or bad, but it's just like, okay, it's interesting.
They've created this demand that comes across the water and it's suddenly just like everyone has to see it.
Yeah.
But the trucks here are incredible to see the diversity of what's going on, but there's definitely a trend going to this EV side.
This is what I really like about it, because if I just remember back in the days, even though 2 years ago, I haven't seen that much of electrified or hybrid types of vehicles, and now you can clearly see like all the big brands, they're like minimum 1 or 2, a hybrid mix, a battery electric vehicle, and this is what I really think it's necessary and what I do like to see, obviously.
Yeah, and it's interesting. For me, I was maybe a bit shocked to see the scale of which that side of the industry is promoting. I mean, even a couple years ago, you wouldn't see that scale at an event on the battery side. You're obviously in the battery side of the business.
Yes, yeah.
Is it what you expected? Is it a bit more? Like, where are your expectation levels on what's actually here?
No, actually, to be really fair, it's like I did not expect to see that level already, especially in the trucking industry, because I see that this is challenging, especially in long haul. I'm not saying urban. In urban, we should do that as soon as possible. We should transform into fully electric or hybrid as soon as possible, because we have so high pollution in the inner cities.
It's an easy win.
And it's at short distances. It's so easy to handle. But for long haul, this is a challenge, and I do see that. So I'm positively surprised to see such a big trend towards electric vehicles.
Yeah, I just had a guest on the show earlier this morning, actually, and he's originally from the U.S. and manages like truck consultancy in the U.S. And he was saying that the long haul, the diesel will still be there for long hauls, especially in the U.S. market, because the infrastructure is not there and they still have to do amazing miles per day. EV won't support that yet, but EV does have a place. And in the European market, maybe we see that a bit more, and that's why it's so relevant here. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely, totally. I mean, I think I would even go a little further step and say, okay, let's challenge it. Let's try. I mean, the batteries, they're getting better and better. They are all heavily investing in technology. Yeah. So I'm even positive that there might be the time where this will be possible to ride long distances.
With how fast it's evolving in the last few years, certainly. I mean, we're seeing some of the battery sizes on these trucks, and the cables that have to go with them. I was surprised by some of these charging. They're not like you plug in your car. It's like you plug in a hose.
You saw the Giga charger over there. Yeah, this is like
the Giga charger.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
massive.
incredible.
But if you think of it, it's necessary because, and there I do see the industry. They cannot wait for hours to get this truck charged. It's not possible. Nobody's going to pay that. So I think it's a positive trend. We have to develop to get to that point where we can enable long haul, fast charge, good battery technology with long distances. But we are coming there. I'm pretty sure we are getting there.
I think year by year we'll see it get better. And it blew my mind to see the scale of it this year, but obviously good for what you guys are doing. So jumping into today's topic, we see a lot of conversation still around big data. It's a topic that continues to come up year after year, and we still see it today.
Yeah.
But as someone who's really plugged into its usage and uses it on a daily basis, how is big data being used to create more sustainable and circular business models within automotive?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it was interesting. Just yesterday, there was a bunch of people stopping by our booth, and they said, "Well, you guys, you walk around with this magic stick," and it's not quite that simple. It's not. We're not wizards. We're just like, big data helps a lot. It's a game changer. It helps us a lot. With big data, we are able to help our clients understand the battery. We create digital twins of this asset, and with that, we help the customer to really understand, okay, how do I best utilize this asset? How do I get the maximum out of it? And we consult them then and say, okay, but for so long this is possible, and we help them understand, okay, I can use this asset in this lifetime, and we can help them also to determine when is the best time to exchange it. We can help them to understand what is the residual value of this asset, and then bring it into another life. And this is also what we stand for, to reuse where possible, and then bring it into recycling. And big data helps with all of this.
So looking a bit more deeply into this, then what specific data points then are most critical to success when we look at this circularity?
So the most critical data points, and this is something which almost like any BMS provides nowadays, we're talking about the data which is current, voltage, temperature, but also of course the load profile, the outer cases of, okay, on what temperature range is he driving, how charging, discharging, fast charging. This all contributes to the battery's aging, and those are the most critical data points. And with collecting those data points and analyzing, we are able then again to tell our customer, okay, this is how you treat the battery. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but this is how you treat it, and we can give them, but also with that we can give them tips, we can give them improvements. Okay, if you would keep the battery in this charging range, we can extend the life of the battery further, and we give them an opportunity to improve their actual life, but also show them, because sometimes it's not possible. You have this low profile, you have to drive these distances, you have to supercharge.
You can't change
change the factors. But then we can tell them, while not changing the factors, this is for how long you can do that, and then you need to replace it. And so you have, for you, it's really an incredible good planning tool, because this is the biggest challenge. You're driving, and we saw this, we had this earlier, all these trucks, doesn't matter if MAN or Tesla or whoever, you buy this electric truck and you have this certain load profile you're driving. You are interested to understand, for how long can I do this, and when do I need to replace my battery?
Yes, of course.
And then maybe also the secondary question then comes with, what is the worth of the battery after 6 or 8 years? What is it still worth? What can I do with it?
Yeah, that vehicle's depreciation still happens, maybe even more so.
Yeah, totally.
You touched on it there, and that preventative side, I think it's a topic that's really interesting. When we look at the value of analytics and having all this data plugged into a system, using analytics correctly gives you incredible preventative superpowers to be able to manage your resources, your trucks, your batteries. Waste reduction is a big topic when we look at preservation and on this side of it. So can you just touch on the preventative maintenance side and the role that you use it for within your role?
Sure. So if you think of a larger vehicle fleet, With the predictive maintenance and the predictive analytics we do, we are able to help our clients to say, okay, here and there, it will come. This is the time where you gonna face replacement, or we see even an anomaly in a battery. Please check it out before it gets damaged. So prevention is a big thing in waste reduction. Or in the other way, if you would think of differently, I have now a truck and we fast forward 10 years, I think I should replace it. But maybe not. Maybe it is still good, but you need to adapt, if possible, the load profile, because the battery is still usable in your first life application, but therefore you need to understand, you need to look into the battery to really help. And this is something we do. We help the customer to look inside the battery and help him understand how good it is. And so it is a crucial point for waste reduction, definitely.
You bring up an interesting topic there, the education side of all of this, because it's all new. This is very new for everyone. And where we're used to servicing a vehicle and maybe you understand an ICE, this changes everything on how vehicle runs and how batteries have to operate. And then especially when we look at extending the life cycle and preserving all of these and then reducing the waste on all of this. How big is that educational curve in the conversations you're having? Is it like starting from scratch, or is there a sense of they're already kind of getting it? Like, where are we on that timeline?
We are still in a pretty early phase, I would say. It depends. We have some people, they are just like super interested and they digged already into it and they have a broad understanding. And then we have really, it is a lot of, we are to some capacity also consultant, because we are telling them, okay, this is a battery, this is what you do with a battery, this is what you can do to improve battery life. And it starts with your own phone, right? You're not supposed to discharge it to zero. It's not good, it's not healthy for your phone. You can do it, it works, the software inside prevents damage, but it definitely contributes to aging. And this is like things where we have to consult people, where we have train people and in the knowledge and say, and I understand this is not scope of their work. They just want to drive the thing or use the thing. So that's just where we see our expertise in helping them. Just like, hey, look, no worries, we're gonna help you understand this asset. And there are car OEMs, and this is what I think it's also really great and necessary. Just fast, looking backwards, maybe not a year or two ago, a battery was considered waste or a liability after usage. More and more OEMs now, they understand this is an asset. We got to treat it well. There are already OEMs with systems installed that they like, I will take care that my battery is never discharged. I will rather cut it off before, or I will take care that it's not overcharged. And those kind of things, they treat it now more and more as an asset. And as we are the battery matchmakers for us, it's of course nice to see that there's more and more awareness of you can substantially extend batteries' life if you treat them the way you should.
Is it too extreme then to kind of say it's shifting the way we think of batteries or what a battery is? Is that too far-fetched? Because the way you're describing the usage of the battery and I mean, this seems like a total shift in how we ever would have considered a battery in the past, whether it was your mobile phone or device or even just little lithium-ion batteries.
Maybe it comes with just the pure value of it. It's expensive. And so I think people like, okay, if I want to get the maximum out of it. And this is what we also think and a good example again is the phone. You're going to give up if you need to recharge your phone twice a day. You throw it away. In the car, it's not that extreme, or in the truck. But it's not in the truck. It's again a good example. It cannot hold its original use profile anymore, so you cannot use it anymore as a replen. But it doesn't mean that the battery is damaged. It does not mean that the battery is useless. You just need to find. This is why our marketing calls us a battery matchmaker. You just need to find the right next application for it. For instance, it went from a truck battery into a solar park. At the truck, you have high C-rate, you have high load, high discharge and charge curves. In a solar park, you have a constant energy flow. this is for
easier, like more retirement lifestyle for the battery.
Exactly, it's a retirement lifestyle, but you can use it. Yeah. So you don't need to use new material, new resources, new sourcing of critical raw materials. You can reuse it, and this is what we think it contributes to a circular economy. It contributes to a sustainable economy, and this is what we think it gives us purpose. And this is great.
Absolutely. So what's the role that preventative analytics then plays in? Like, that's a great example. I like how it goes from a truck to a park where it's just a total usage. Yeah. That's a great example. But where does the preventative side fit into that? Can you anticipate that that's going to happen and then ensure that you're getting the most value out of it? Like, where does that fit in that whole life cycle?
That's what we do. With analyzing the batteries as an asset and helping the client understand to optimize it, we're not only helping our first lives client to get the best value for and performance out of it, but we already make sure. Just imagine you have, again, we're coming to this truck because this is what we have, what we are at the moment. Yeah. You have this truck fleet, 1,000 trucks, a megawatt, 2 megawatts of energy, or even more. And we know then in 6-8 months, you're going to start having problems fulfilling those load profiles. So with our analytics and the algorithm, we can predict, in 6-8 months, 12 months, this is going to be where the battery will be. So here we are at already like 90% SOH in X month. We are then at 85 or 88, and with 88% SOH, the battery will not be able to cope with this load profile. And so we can tell the customer in 12 months you need to exchange it, but this is how good it is then, and we can already find the next best use case, because the analytics can help us show a little bit look in the future. It sounds a little bit off, but it is kind of
that's the beauty of data.
Exactly. And this we do with a higher currency rate. Our recurrency rate in SOH prediction is pretty good. We are above 98%. So we know how good the battery will be, and then we can already find the next life. And in the perfect world, think of it, the batteries are still running inside the truck, and we already found the next use case, which is a solar park, a wind park, and the batteries are still in the truck, and we already have his next life predicted and secured. So we can also...
So that's an optimized transition, that it's not overdone or
pre-done. Then we reduce logistic, warehousing. All of this can be reduced and optimized to a perfect lean value stream, which again helps contributing to a CO2 emission reduction. Right?
So surely, as you were identifying this circular economy within the battery sector, there were a number of challenges that you faced when looping in big data into all of this. Mm-hmm. What were some of those challenges, and how did your team overcome them, or how are you still overcoming them?
So it's also, again, an interesting question. There, especially as the market is that young, there are several challenges, but one which is to be highlighted is then that data is not data, and data you receive from a customer is not the same. There's not yet a standard there. We have, this is the data quality, so that's what we also working on, with our customers. This is the data granularity and quality we need. And this is a challenge because customer A provides us a terabyte of data, customer B provides us a terabyte of data. Supposedly it's even the same battery, the data are completely different.
Interesting. So the consistency in that data collection is still a gap.
Exactly, and this is something you have to compute and you have to work with. And so we are trying to get more and more also into a standard. Here, dear customer, this is the standard we need. We need to work on that we get the data in this standard form for us to analyze, to work with it the fastest. But this is okay. This is the pain of the first time. This is okay.
And it is expected. These are going to be challenges, and I think that's a nice challenge to have.
Yeah.
If you look at all the technology that's around, because I think we have to touch on that as well, and the role tech plays on this big data collection as well, how do you see that playing a role in standardizing the way that data is collected?
I foresee that there's still a path to go, definitely, because we are at the beginning, but just imagine everything then in the future is connected, how optimized the value streams can be, how streamlined we can have processes. I mean, we just see it over here. We have sensors in wheels. We can collect data everywhere. So in the future, we are possible to streamline processes with in the best optimized way, which also then again helps in carbon emission reduction. It helps in streamline optimized processes, and again this translates then in the most cost efficient way. And in the end, as we are all also into cost optimization, right?
It's something we can't avoid. It's a huge challenge right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Within the battery sector then, the data collection points, why is there such a diversity in what you're getting from different providers? Is it just the standards are all over the place? There's no standardization within that industry yet?
I wouldn't say there's no standardization, but it's just, I guess it's also that we are in the development of standardizations. There are already some in place, but there are, if you just also think of, there's so many different providers, and they do it in the way they think it's the best. And I even agree. If you just look at the single in the micro world, it is. But if you look then at the large scale, like us, we're receiving all this different data from all this different BMS, and then you see that it's
a bit messy.
It's a bit messy sometimes, but it's okay. We are actively approaching this challenge, and the sooner again it's prevention. The sooner we go and talk about this with the customer, the sooner we can change it, and then then once it's done, once you have created a standard, then it's easier. Then it's a more streamlined process.
Yeah, it sounds like expectation management then is a key thing that you're dealing with, because you know you're at the very start of this curve, so you're not going in with the expectations that this is solved already.
We have this factor where we say, okay, it's just what it is. It's the pain of the first time. It's normal. And then, of course, we are looking forward to have more standardization in terms of, okay, what is second life, how to measure batteries, SOH, etc. There, and that's why we are also included in most of these authorization bodies and contributing to a more standardized system.
Super interesting. It sounds like, and this is where I was kind of going down these rabbit holes as I was researching. It's so different and complex of how this world works. I think it's really interesting. Looking ahead to the future of this circularity and this data-driven circularity, what are you seeing, or possibly what's in development that you're excited to see come to the forefront?
Oh, I'm excited about all types of things, especially when it comes to battery. I'm super excited to see different paths of battery going from a chemical perspective. Okay, how do we may even avoid the active critical materials? Talking about sodium, iron, solid state, lithium, air. This is something which is super interesting for me. Also on the data side, our algorithm and the way we see. I'm trying to avoid AI but it
pops up.
It's everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. My grandma's vacuum cleaner has AI.
Everything has AI. It's like the old turbo, right? Everything was turbo. Now everything's AI.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm trying to use algorithm, but it's just amazing, and I think we adopt that pretty good. I'm well aware that we have to be careful. We should not be stupid about it, but it's something AI algorithms, they help us making our lives better in performance and cost efficient. And if we use them the right way, we can definitely help us as humanity to reach our goals in terms of carbon emission reduction, in terms of streamlined process flows, the most cost efficient ways. Of course, I'm not saying maybe it has an impact on one or the other jobs which are then replaced by algorithms or AI, but there are other ways. There's so much more out there where we can use that. When I just read another day an article where they use AI in surgeries. Yeah, amazing. With this is possible to help people save lives where humanity would not be able to do it.
Yeah, not enough hands.
Not enough.
And it's the same in the automotive sector. We're seeing the way that artificial intelligence can aid the current worker to be more efficient is key. And for what you're doing, run models that would maybe take manual testing in the past. And now you can just run your virtual models and have all these different pathways figured out.
Exactly. This is also something where what we tell our OEMs, think about, because we even got challenged. Why do I need a data-driven analytics of my battery? I can just test them. Of course you can. You have 500 trucks. You can test them. But in 10 years, you have millions out there. How do you want to test? How long does it take to test them?
You
have to have at least, I'm not saying it's still a lithium-ion battery, I'm saying you have to be careful. You have to test them where needed. But with the software we provide and others, we can tell you out of this millions of cars or trucks, there's a certain area where we see there is a gray zone. Please go ahead and test them, while all the others are already 80% of them can go into reuse and 20% needs to go directly into recycling. And out of this 80%, there's a small portion. Please test them physically to be really sure there's nothing going on.
Incredible. It's super complex. I love learning about it. Hearing you speak about it just wants me to look more into it, to be honest, and I hope the audience has that feeling as well. But yeah, the circular economy is really an interesting way
we still
to
have open positions, I told you, right?
Yeah, well, one episode at a time, yeah?
I'm just kidding.
But no, I appreciate the time today, Marius. Thank you so much for taking the time. Best of luck with the rest of the show here.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great listening.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you very much.
And for everyone watching and listening to the Auto Tech Show today, thank you so much for being with us. It's been great to have this deep dive on the circular economy, and with Circunomics, lots going on. So if you heard anything today that really piqued your interest, head down to the podcast notes to see a link to what Circunomics is doing there. Also for Marius, if you want to get in touch, I'll put his link down below as well. Ask a question. You never know where those conversations go, and I'll put mine down there as well in case you have any questions about the show. But again, big thanks to Circunomics and Marius for today. Lots of learning, as I mentioned. So with that, we'll let everyone get on with their day. Thank you so much for joining me. Wishing you a great day in the world wherever you may be. And we'll see you on the next episode very soon. Goodbye.